Thank you very much for joining us today. Teenage pregnancy is an old age problem Ghana has had to deal with. In 2016, the Upper East topped regional figures by being the region with the highest national prevalence rate of teenage pregnancy, 15%. The northern region had the lowest prevalence rate of 4.4%, followed by the Greater Accra region with 6.6%. But last week, it emerged that as the central region tries to deal with the challenge, teachers who are expected to help bring up the children are among the top culprits. But why do we persistently have to deal with this problem? Why can't the country deal with it outright? I'm joined in the studio now by the Director of DOFSU, Chief Superintendent, Reverend Laurentia Akorli. Thanks for joining us, Reverend, on News Desk.
Thank you very much.
So, we know that teenage pregnancy is something that you're dealing with, but before we even go into the statistics, these are the future leaders of our country, and they are getting pregnant at early age. You must be worried.
Very worried, of course, when you come to issues having to deal with children. In fact, we're talking about children who are the future leaders of tomorrow. And if these future leaders are not taken care of today, I wonder what sort of future would be having if we leave them to go the way they are going. So for me, I would think that it is incumbent on all and sundry, particularly the law enforcers, the opinion leaders, every stakeholder. Once we are talking about child protection, we need to come together to ensure the safety of our children, and so we can handle that menace which is emerging greatly in our society today.
And we'll come back to how to deal with the problem once and for all. But like I said earlier, it's something that DOFSU has been dealing with. What do the figures look like as of now?
Basically, DOFSU, we don't deal with teenage pregnancy as a crime, because teenage pregnancy has to do with a menace. It's a social menace. It is only a crime to DOFSU when people report on rape and or defilement, because we are talking about age here. Ages between 0 to 16, let me say, are children who are below the age of 18. And so when issues of this nature affect them, we talk about it dealing with the law. But where it goes beyond the age of 18, it becomes a social menace. And for us, it no longer becomes a crime because there is consent, which of course we are looking at. Where there is no consent, then we say that it's a crime.
So right now we are talking about children. We are learning that as low as 9 years are getting pregnant in some parts of the country. Sure. And you also say that you only consider the crime part of it. Yeah. So far, what is the statistic? How many cases has DOFSU received? DOFSU, within a period of time?
DOFSU does not have the statistics when it comes to teenage pregnancy, because it is the Ghana health sector that records the births. And once they record the births, they have the statistic. It only comes to DOFSU when it becomes the same social menace and neglect or a non-maintenance issue where parents are not taking care of their children. But like I said, looking at the ages, from 0 to 14, it is a defilement issue. And whilst it is not reported to the police as a defilement issue, it's like it is on the blind side of the police, which we are not seeing. Police, we work with information and we work with reports. Once it gets to us, then we are on board. We are working with it.
I know that, for instance, when it comes to defilement cases, because of our cultural settings, a lot of families would want to take it out of the police, would not want to report. So let's talk about those that have been reported. What is the statistic like?
A lot of this that has been reported to us, if I want to go by the papers, let me say for December, defilements.
December 2016, you mean?
December 2014, that is 2 years ago. Records indicates that we have a total number of 1,300 children who were defiled. And these are cases that were reported to DOFSU and handled, gone through due process. Most of them were convicted. Others are still at the law courts, having going to go through trials.
And if you talk about over 1,000, are these national figures?
National figures. We collate all the regional figures. and ensure that we are getting a holistic figure that will serve national interest.
And that's for 2014.
2014. And then for 2015, I will say that it was close to a decline. It was a decline, which of course indicates that some sort of sensitization is going on. It declined. We have here for 2015, 1,198, whereas we had 1,300 in the previous year. For 2016, currently, we are putting our regional reports together to collate as national report. So that one is not yet out.
So these figures that you have, did DOFSU also record how many of these teenagers got pregnant through the defilement?
In fact, as early as it is reported, the health sector has a way of curbing it. Most of it didn't come to us as teenage pregnancies. They rather nipped it in the bud, and then those that had to be convicted were convicted because they were found culpable to the law.
And if you say that they nipped it in the bud, who are the day you're referring to?
The Ghana Health Services, because they have what it takes. I'm talking about health here, because immediately it happens, they go through the test, the procedure to ensure that that child is safe. Then they treat the other infectious aspect of that menace.
So you also again said that the 1,000 plus that you have, these are regional figures that you collated. Looking at the regional figures coming to you, which regions would you say topped these cases?
For us, on our record, it comes from the coastal areas, and for this matter, the prevalent one is the central region. Looking at the fishing areas, that is where most of these issues emanate from.
So the central region, per the figures you have, is leading in terms of defilement and probably teenage pregnancies.
For now.
That's what you can say.
Yes.
And interestingly, last week it emerged that teachers are one of the groups actually that top corporate in terms of those who impregnate teenagers. As DOFSU director, what do you think of this revelation?
In fact, it is something that comes to us throughout the country, not only in the central region. Teachers equally have their own disciplinary setup, which they deal with when it comes to teachers violating on the rights of these children and putting them into situations of this nature. The Ghana Educational Service has counselors for that matter. They go through to counsel those children, but for the teachers that violate, they deal with them according to the law, since everything that we do has to do with the laws of the land.
How do you think we can deal with it? Although per the 2015 figures, there's been a little decline in this, but you wouldn't say this is a vast, you know, decline. Why do we still have this problem?
In fact, when you talk to me as an individual, and for that matter, a law enforcer, and for somebody who works with stakeholders, looking at our society and our communities, I believe that we strongly have to bring on board every family member. We need to revisit our extended family system. In this modern day Ghana, we are looking at children learning by the internet. It is a very good thing they learn by the internet, but then what are we doing as parents to monitor what our children are learning? What are they doing behind our back? We need to ensure as parents that we are doing positive parenting. I will always say that there is a need to befriend our children. Ensure that you are looking at what they are doing behind you. When they go on the internet, the TV they are watching, what sort of thing? Is it building their morals, or it is spoiling it or destroying it? It is incumbent on parents to do parental in a manner that will bring great upbringing into our children.
Do I get the understanding that per what you're saying, you're putting the responsibility solely on parents?
I'm a parent. That's why I said we should visit the extended family system. Gone are the days where our mothers were not working. They were housewives. They stay in the house and take care of the children when they come back. The fathers were the only breadwinners. But in this day and time, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunties, we are all working. We send our children to school. Some leave them in the hands of maid servants. How have you brought up that maid servant, trained to bring up your child in a manner that will fit society for tomorrow? Parents, I'm saying once again, not mincing words. It's our responsibility not to leave our children behind and just go to work and come back. I'm tired. We don't know what they do. If I should quote a scripture, Proverbs 22 verse 6, it says that train up a child the way he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. Are we ensuring that training, that when we are not there tomorrow, those children will become the leaders of tomorrow? What are we leaving for them? That is my important
But there's
issue.
also the argument that law enforcers have also failed to do their part. There have been a number of defilement cases where police prosecutors go to court or DOFSO officials go to court. They don't even have strong evidence to convince the judges that this is the case, you must deal with it. And cases of such, I mean, defilement and others end up dragging, and other times they become foolish case.
Thank you for bringing in that. I will say this morning, using this platform, that no one is above the law. Be it a law enforcer, for that matter, a police, of which I am. We don't take it lightly. We go through due process where we investigate a case and found out that it is true, it is authentic. This is what has happened. The person is never set free. But one thing also is that we work with information, and we work by going through investigation. If we investigate a case and it is true, it is authentic, you are not above the law. You will go through due process, and then the rigors of the law found you in there.
And just to pick it once again on what you said about parents, and per your own statistics, you're talking about coastal areas. These are areas where you wouldn't find people with white-collar jobs. A lot of parents don't have money, so they would carry goods on their heads, go around and sell them. How do you ensure that parents are also playing their role at the same time trying to get money to cater for the children? In that case, how do you balance that? What is DOFSO doing?
The most important thing we are doing now as our social responsibility, even though we are a police unit, we ensure that we are giving education to the society. We ensure that we are helping other stakeholders to bring up these issues to the practical sense, that people will know. If a mother, you are not working, you have to do petty trading. It doesn't mean your child should not go to school. The child will go to school, but ensure within the time frame when the child is in school, you do whatever you have to do. By the time you return home, your child is also at home. You check through the homework, whatever the child have to do, petty things, clean dishes, sweep here. There are things we are training our children to know. But ensure that while they are in school, they are protected. That is why I will continuously talk about the extended family system. If I happen to be late, my cousin should be there, or my brother, my sister, somebody who is close to me should be there to monitor my child when they come back from school.
Now, you talk about education. How effective has your education in these communities been? Because we are still recording high cases.
Reporting issues doesn't make it like it is now coming. The education is helping them to know that, wow, we need to report the issues. Where the thing is hidden, it doesn't come out. So the figures are less. But where the issue is reported, then you see figures increasing. An indication that people are getting to understand the reason for which cases must be reported. And we are educating the children to take away that fear in them, to report cases. Recently, police did child-friendly policing, ensuring that every policeman or woman is closer to a child in a way so that they can come to us and report cases to us.
Sometimes people do not stop their wrong act until they see somebody being punished harshly for it. The other argument is that the laws may not be biting enough, and so A does it and B finds the courage to do so.
Our laws are biting. Implementation, I would say, is a social problem to us all, because I know Mr. B, I know Mr. C. I have a problem. So he wants to find out if they can recall this issue, withdraw it, and talk about it in the home. It is not easy, but we are ensuring that these things are not done because the future of our children is very important. If we allow some of these issues to come up, then we are jeopardizing our future because the leaders of tomorrow are the children we have today.
Obviously, DOFSU has been implementing a number of measures, but we're still recording high cases. Are there new measures you are considering implementing to deal with this effectively?
Thank you very much. We are all working together with a recent social protection policy where every person in the community, talking about chiefs here, queen mothers here, opinion leaders here, everybody, the churches, faith-based organizations, the mosque, I mean, we are all on board to ensure that these issues are handled properly so that the future will be bright for our children.
How often, for instance, do you collaborate with them and even embark on education like you said?
It is all over the regions. For instance, we are ahead 2 weeks' time, Ghana DOFSU, for that matter, police headquarters, we shall be embarking on a few educations in the schools to ensure that the children are informed that whatever comes their way, they can easily report. We don't want to hold them back. We don't want to say that they are children. Days are gone when children are children. Today they need to come up. They need to talk. If they don't talk, what are we giving them? We should make our children come up, report cases, ensure that the perpetrators are arrested. And then the law can be implemented.
Your final words, Chief Superintendent.
My final word goes to all and sundry that we should ensure that our children, the future leaders, are well trained according to scripture. Let us not lose on the values and the virtues of the culture of Ghana. Let's ensure that, like I always keep saying, the future leaders are our children. Let every person go back into the extended family system. Let's train up our children. There is a folkloric song that says, "Land of our bed, we pledge to thee. Our hearts and toil in the years to be." Let us bring our children that as we toil today, fathers, mothers, aunties, uncles, leaders, let's bring our children that as we toil tomorrow, they will enjoy for the future.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent Reverend Laurentia Akorli, and she's the director of DOFSU. And we've been talking teenage pregnancy challenges and the way forward in terms of dealing with it. Now, 12 fuel tankers were on Sunday destroyed by fire at a tanker yard at Ashaiman Timber Market. The tanker trucks were all loaded with petroleum product meant for distribution to some fuel stations on that day. We will have a conversation with the Ghana National Fire Service. But first, let's take a look at what happened in Ashaiman yesterday.
The immediate cause is not known, but then, yeah, not known at the moment.
We have not seen a single casualty, let alone deaths that are recorded as some people are reporting. There's no any such death rate here. There's no casualty from the time we arrived up to this time that we have been able to bring the fire under control. That is for your information. Yes.
Yeah, you know how many fire tenders were used to bring the fire?
We brought 11 fire engines one from Tema Oil Refinery. And then you have seen our turntable ladder, the one up there. Yes, that's making 12 in all. And then the Gapoha people also arrived here to assist.
You started at 1:05?
Yes.
Okay, and you just finished part 4. What really kept you that long?
It is products, that's diesel, petrol. And then fighting such fires, you have to use our chemicals you've seen on the ground now. So it is not an easy, straightforward type of fire. You apply water and it goes off. And the tankers are very huge. You can see the sizes that are there, yes.
With how many men did you fight this fire?
With our 13 appliances, 12, 13 that we brought here, well, that's about 35 officers and men from the fire service.
Are you able to know the cause of this?
We are still investigating to know the...
Maxwell Agbagba was at the scene this morning. He spoke to some eyewitnesses. An official at the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation and the fire service.
Currently at the location where the fire incident happened, as you rightly said. What is happening here right now today is that we have some officials from the Ghana National Fire Service. They are here to do some inspection work and also try to unravel the mystery surrounding the fire incident that happened here yesterday. I call it mystery because it looks like a lot of people are unable to tell exactly, put a finger to it and say that, look, this is what caused the fire. But speculations that we've gathered around from some residents who live here in this area indicate that this tanker here, so some fuel was being transferred from this tanker here into this other tanker here, packed here. So there was some kind of siphoning going on. So they were trying to siphon fuel from this tanker to the other tanker. And in that process, it resulted in the inferno that we had here yesterday. In fact, when you get closer to the scene, you'd see remnants of the water hose that was being used to carry out the act yesterday. That remnant of that water hose is still there. We also understand that there was a generator that was lying very close in the middle of these two tankers that was being used to, transfer the fuel. But that has been taken away. One of the fire officers here is not really happy about what what happened, why he was not excited about them taking that generator away, because he thinks that some people are trying to tamper with the evidence here on the ground. Now, if you come here, we also have some officials from the Environmental Protection Agency who are here, but they are tight-lipped on the issue. They will not speak right now. They say they want to try and carry out some investigation before they'll come out with their preliminary, comments on the issue. So right now, EPA, some officials from the EPA, we can say on authority, are here. We also have some officials from the Ghana National Fire Service who are also here, but they wouldn't speak to us. Now, on the grounds right now, we have about 12 tankers that have been burnt into ashes. Now, 9 completely burnt, totally burnt, I might say, and then 3 partially burnt. So these are some of the tankers that were, that were razed down or ravaged by the inferno yesterday. And I must add that when you come here, you could still have that feel, that sense of a pungent smell. I mean, so it's a cocktail of fuel, it's a cocktail of smoke. I mean, everything. You could actually feel it if you have your eyes closed and you enter this tanker yard. You could actually feel that something happened here yesterday. Well, some residents that we've been speaking to tell us that yesterday about 14 tankers, about 14 fire tenders, I must say, from the Ghana National Fire Service had to, come in to be able to douse the flames. Well, they say that at the point in time they ran out of water and they had to go to, very far locations to get water to be able to extinguish the flames. Now, what you can see right now, we have some officials here walking in here, some journalists also walking in. I see one man with a cameraman walking in to take photographs of what has happened. Now, when we were coming here to this yard, we met a gentleman who I must say was really depressed. In fact, he was not in the mood to talk to us. We were trying to find out from him what actually happened. In fact, he lost a vehicle, a tanker, in the process yesterday. He was not in the mood to talk to us, actually. We approached him. He said, no, I'm not in the mood to talk. I can't talk to you because I think this thing has robbed me of my livelihood and I'm not in the mood to have any conversation with you. So that's it. And what we also gathering here is that the owner of this yard, well, as it stands right now, we are unable to tell who's the owner of this yard, and as it stands right now, they have not reported to the scene to to ascertain what happened yesterday and to also find out from people what happened yesterday. So as it stands right now, they have not reported here. The only people here are officials from the Environmental Protection Agency, and then some of them also from the Ghana National Fire Service. We have some media people also here. But as it stands right now, the cars are still there. The burned cars are still there. For the trucks, it will be very, very difficult to tell where they are coming from because for these ones, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that I'm counting here, they've been completely ravaged by the inferno. In fact, you can't even see the registration numbers for these tankers. I mean, the writings on them are not even visible for us to be able to state exactly where they are coming from. So at this point, it is very, 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 very difficult to tell because you don't even know their registration numbers. They were burnt in the process by the fire. So we cannot, in fact, it will be very difficult to be able to tell where they're coming from. But I'm trying to see if it will be possible to have interactions with the delegation there right now on my left-hand side. Maybe let's try and see if this gentleman will want to talk to us. So would you want to talk to us? What do you do here, please? My name is Maxwell. I work with Joy News. What do you do here?
Oh, I watch the cars we're burning for here. Yeah, I can watch.
Like, do you live in this area? You just stay for this area?
I stay this area. New to Laku, I stay here.
What happened yesterday? What happened?
Yesterday, would they fire happy for here? Would the house will see the fire will rush come help the yard? But the owner for the place, I don't know him.
This man is on the phone. Sir, good morning. My name is Maxwell. I work with Joy News. Are you able to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, my name is Benjamin.
Benjamin, where are you coming from?
I'm with National Petroleum Authority.
Oh, from the National Petroleum Authority. Great. Very excited to have you. Can you tell us what information that you have about, the fire that ravaged this compound yesterday?
Yeah, we got information yesterday about the soil fire incident. So we're here with our CEO. He will be joining us very soon to have first-hand info on what actually happened, then take inventory of the number of vehicles that has been affected by the fire. Yeah, that's why we're here.
Well, we're hearing this. We are unable to independently verify these claims being made, but we hear that there was something illegal happening here on this compound yesterday. Some residents tell us that there was fuel was being siphoned from this tanker into the other one, and that caused the inferno yesterday. Has that information come to your attention?
We are here to ascertain that. We are here to ascertain that. No, we have no idea yet.
Okay, yeah. But is this compound legitimate? Is it a legal compound being around?
That's something we have to verify later. I can't give any info on it. I can't even talk about it.
Okay. But National Petroleum Authority, are you not concerned about the numerous cases of explosions regarding gas and all of that, and petrol tankers especially? Are you not?
I'm not supposed to talk about it. The official communication will come.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for talking to us. Okay, so you just heard he's an official from the National Petroleum Authority. And we had a conversation. Just had a short conversation with him. Let's try and get to the fire personnel who are also here, trying to ascertain and establish the cause of this inferno. Okay, so this fire officer is actually going around. Taking some notes, getting very close to some of the vehicles now. So these are the vehicles. You can see them right now. It's really hot here. I must say the pungent smell of fuel is also, like really here. You can actually feel it. It still feels very, very hot here, even though the flames have been doused. I don't know what is causing the temperature here to be like this. Let's get closer. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Sir. Good morning. Good morning, sir. My name is Maxwell. I work with Joy News. Please, we just want to talk to you briefly. Can you please tell us exactly what you've been able to establish so far about the fire here yesterday?
So far, it's still under investigation, and for now, I cannot say anything as to what actually caused it until we are done with our investigation. Yeah.
But do you have this information about some possible illegality happening with regards to the siphoning of fuel from one tanker to the other, and they were actually using water hose and water pumps? Do you have that information? Because when we came here, we saw the evidence on the ground.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. They were transferring fuel from one tanker to another, and it ignited in the process. Yeah.
So could there be a possible breach of any fire regulation here?
Yeah, actually, the owner of this tanker yard, the owner has rented it out to someone, but as to whether that person operating here is having the necessary permit, that's the Ghana National Fire Service permit, the NPA permit and the EPA, we are yet to see the owner and ascertain that. Yeah.
But what is making it difficult for the owner to show up? Because we heard yesterday he was not here at all.
For that one, I cannot tell. Maybe it's because he's not having the necessary permit. That's why he's running away from the authorities. Yeah.
And we understand you had a hard time yesterday trying to extinguish the fire. Tell us, how difficult was it?
Very. It was very, because of the product involved, the petrol and I think most of the petrol were more than the diesel. So we had a tough time here yesterday. It took about 14 fire engines, that's fire tenders, from Ghana National Fire Service. That's comprising one turntable ladder and one other tender from Tamawe refinery before we were able to bring the fire under control, and it was finally extinguished at about 16:33 hours. Yeah.
Do we still have fuel in these tankers?
Yeah, we have some. So our men were here till this morning. They've been here till this morning because of they had to cool most of the tankers till this morning. Yeah.
Then it makes it dangerous for the people, around this area. Because if we still have fuel inside, and we can still sense the pungent smell of fuel all around this place.
For now, I don't think it's that dangerous anymore. It's not dangerous for now. It's under control now. Yeah.
So if it's established that the owner of this compound does not have a permit, could that lead to a possible prosecution or something?
Yeah. Then it becomes a criminal offense, and he will be handed over to police, and it will take. They will take it up from there.
Okay. Finally, before you go, how soon will you be able to make your findings, public, so that people would know the real cause of this incident?
Very soon. Very soon.
How soon is this?
Very.
Okay. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Okay, so Mama, we just heard from the fire officer. They're giving us some details regarding what happened yesterday. As you can rightly see, maybe we'll turn to the side. They've doused the fire, they've doused the flame, they've extinguished the flame, but you still have some smoke coming out from some of the rims of the tires that we have here. You can see the remnants of the rim here. This side also, you can actually see how, really bent these vehicles these tankers are. They've been reduced to scraps, actually. I don't think they'll be able to use these vehicles for anything, anytime soon.
The immediate cause is not known, but then, yeah, not known at the moment.
And I'm joined in the studio now by the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Prince Billy Anaglate, to tell us more on this particular incident. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us on News Desk.
Good morning.
So we just heard our reporter say in that video that some of the tankers are still very hot. What is causing that?
Well, as at 11 p.m. when we were leaving the ground, some of them were still having the fuel in them boiling. We did all that we could to cool the temperature to prevent any explosion. But when we realized that the level at which they were below the ignition temperature, there wouldn't be any re-ignition, was when we left. And then there was only one tender position there throughout the night to ensure that nothing happened to them, of course, until the temperature within, because the fuel in the tank is confined. There is no air entering into it to have that cooling system. It's only about the air surrounding the tank itself, with our blanketing and the cooling with water that is reducing it. But diesel has an expansion rate and it's condensed, so it will take some time before the heat level would go down.
Sometime, how long, maybe?
Well, that would depend on first the metal used for the construction of the tank itself, and that will also depend on how consistently we continue to cool the temperature of it. So I'm believing that maybe by this morning, getting to 12 o'clock, they should be able to do away with everything on the ground.
Is it safe to be around where this incident happened?
It is not safe. It is not safe in the sense that those tankers that we see, they are still containing fuel in it. I keep saying that it is not the liquid petrol or the diesel that burns, but the rich evaporized gas from those things. So the whole area is saturated with gaseous emanating from the fuel. So if you are within the area, if you have your mobile phone, the tendency to spark fire is there. If anybody is smoking around, if any heat source is applied within the area, the tendency of they having fire is very high.
What you're saying, it's a bit scary. So what are you telling people around there?
That is why since yesterday, when we were calling, we got in there, we were able to ensure to prevent people. But people will not listen. They take pleasure in getting close to where the fire situation is. So we are still appealing to the public that they should ensure they don't get to that environment. When we are able to determine and to get to have everything that will remove any hazard within the premises, we allow them to get in there. But for now, that we are doing everything possible to make the place safe, they should also bear with us and get away from the environment.
Have you, for instance, cordoned off the place?
Yes, we ensure that they lock the two gates that leads to the place, and then we have our people also around there to prevent anybody from entering.
So let's talk about what might have caused this particular incident. As of now, has the fire service been able to say exactly what might have caused this?
I wouldn't say we'll be able to say exactly what might have caused it, but our preliminary investigation might not be too far from what exactly might have caused it. We saw two pumps that they were using. We saw hoses that they were using for siphoning a fuel from one tanker to the other. That might definitely be responsible for what ignited and what might have caused this fire. But of course, we still need to go further to investigate further to determine if exactly that is what we saw.
So you're
yesterday.
saying that your preliminary investigation showed that the tube they were using to transfer the fuel.
Yeah, the siphoning we were doing. You know, in such environment, it was wrong for anybody to do siphoning, where you have about 26 fuel tankers packed in there, so close to each other. You don't have to attempt any siphoning as they were doing. But it is even important for anybody to do siphoning within that area. Then they need to contact fire service, who will give them a fire cover to determine that nothing happened. Even if anything should happen, we will be able to reduce and arrest the situation. But a situation where we were even investigating yesterday that we do not even have any extinguisher position at where they were doing it was really dangerous, was illegal for anybody to do what they were doing yesterday.
Mr. Anaglate, tell us what involves siphoning, the reason you think that the fire service should have been there.
Siphoning is taking fuel from one tanker to the other. That involves pumps that you are using. The pumps themselves emit gases, hot gases. And I just said it here, that it is not the liquid per se that burns, but the rich environment of those gases that are what trigger the fire. So if you are using those pumps that is giving out heat in itself, is giving out spark in itself, and you are doing it, you don't have any safety measures put in place, you don't ensure that you have firefighting facilities put in place, it is very risky and dangerous to anybody to do that without fire safety measures.
This place where the incident happened, is there a licensed place for this?
Well, that is what we are trying to determine this morning. Yesterday, we invited the owner of the premises to get to our regional headquarters in Tema this morning. It is beyond investigating to know the cause of the fire, but we want to find out if really they have fire certificate, because by law, our LR 1724 Fire Precaution Premises Regulation 2003 stipulated clearly that everybody within those premises should have a fire certificate. So we'll find out whether they have fire certificate. We'll find out whether they have any firefighting facilities and early detection and warning system, any safety measure put in place. Because by law, they are supposed even to ensure that the workers over there are trained into fire safety and firefighting facilities. So we are going to ensure that some of these questions are answered this morning, because we asked that he should come with some of the drivers to our regional headquarters.
Must there be a disaster before the National Fire Service goes around finding out whether a place is licensed or not?
That is not it. It is when there is an unexpected situation such as it is when the media comes in to see what the fire service is doing. We are always on the run. We have our task force that have been assigned specifically to oil marketing company, such as that place, gas filling station, petrol filling station, oil tankers, to ensure that they do the right thing. But you also agree with me that firemen are not magicians to determine where all those, tank, garages are located. But it behoves on even the public to inform the fire service for us to know where we can locate those things and move on to them. We are on the ground, day in, day out, we are out there, but it is not possible easily for us to locate where those places are. So it's not when we wait till anything happens before we get in there.
Are you by this admitting that the Ghana National Fire Service, as we talk, does not know how many of such garages are in the country and which of them are even licensed?
It is impossible. It is
How?
impossible that as much as it is by law that before you establish any of those things, you need to submit your building plan and other things to fire service to have permits. You also agree that there are people building without the consent of town planners, without the consent of other regulators such as fire service. So if you don't approach fire service, it will be difficult for anybody to determine and to know where some of those illegal siting of garages, fuel station, and what have you are located. So we can't say that it's impossible, looking at the reckless nature people construct some of these filling stations and garages. So we are doing our possible best to ensure that we unravel all those areas where those people are located.
One other issue that comes up when there's a disaster like this is the location of such places. Is this also an area the fire service is looking at in terms of investigating the latest fire incident? Well,
yes. Like I said, we are trying to assess everything possible to determine if siting and all other things are done by law. When it comes to siting, the town and technical committee, the assemblies are the people that zone the area. So for now, we will also determine the zoning status of the area where that industry or the garage is located, until we are able to determine that is part of the requirement that we are asking the man to provide this morning. So we will determine the zoning status. If the zoning status is only residential, then it is wrong for him to have it there. But if the zoning status says that it's a mixed zoning, then it means he could, live side by side with residential area. So if it is a zoning status, is saying that it is an industrial area, then anybody having a residential accommodation needs to vacate the area. So we are looking at the zoning status, and we'll be able to determine who is supposed to be there and who is supposed to move out of the place.
Your final words, Mr. Naglati.
Well, my final word is to say that all that the fire service is doing, we are on the ground doing everything possible to protect life and property. But we are also asking for the media to give us more time to educate people, to let them understand and to know what to do. And the public should also inform us anything that is think to jeopardize anybody's life or even cause fire. They should inform us. Our doors are open.
Thank you very much, Prince Bilian Naglati. He speaks for the Ghana National Fire Service. Moving on, traditional birth attendants in parts of the Central Town District Other Voto region are innocently exposing the health of mothers and children to infections due to lack of delivery items and regular professional supervision. In Dover, a village where pregnant women are barred from giving birth, access to transport and a proper health center for these women in labor are big challenges. Their only option under the circumstance for safe delivery is to find a traditional birth attendant in nearby communities to have their babies. In our latest hotline documentary dubbed Land of No Birth, Joy News' MFA Sup't Akorli visited 2 of these traditional birth attendants and report on how the TBAs are using unhealthy delivery items to save mother and child.
Azato Anyimonu and Mama Anthony are both traditional birth attendants in the Central Tong district. The jobs of these 2 women are very critical because they are the first port of call for Dover women in labor. Azato lives in Dokpo. She had to sacrifice her kinky business for this job even though she rarely gets paid for her services.
Sometimes I charge 50 Ghana cedis, but even that, it is not everybody who is able to pay. Others pay half. There are times when the delivery is complicated, and by God's grace, it is successful. We talk to them, and they later return to pay everything. There are those that you will just have to consider because they will say their husbands are not available, and so they will pay half of the amount, promising to settle the rest later. Some do, but others never return.
This is where she receives her patients. A small room belonging to her brother, who is a staff of a quality grains company. Azato personally buys the items she needs to do the deliveries. In her little wooden box are old and worn out rubber gloves, which are discolored, an indication they have been kept here for too long. She also showed me a dusty dark brown bottle supposed to be containing her antiseptic and another which contains spirits for dressing sore and the umbilical cord. An old roll of cotton is among the items. But this gives me cause to worry. This woman clearly has a good heart in helping to save the lives of mothers and children, but obviously not with these items. Mama Anthony is another TBA at Dokpo. She lays rags on the floor in this room to deliver her patients of their babies. She says she doesn't understand why the nurses who used to come by to give them those items have stopped visiting.
Now, the first of the 2-part documentary airs at 6:30 p.m. today on this channel. Don't miss it. But I have MFA Sup't Akorli here in the studio. She worked on this documentary. MFA, so we are playing the first part, 6:30 on this channel. Okay. What more should we expect?
Okay, so I'll tell you the story of Dover, why that community, pregnant women, can't give birth, and the challenges the pregnant women are going through because of that. It's a taboo, and how they are, the options they have so that they can still have their baby. So what you just saw was my interaction with 2 TBAs who receive these pregnant women from Dover and help them to deliver their babies. So in the first part of today's documentary, I'll tell you the story about the tradition in Dover and how the pregnant women are managing the situation. Essentially, it's hectic for them. It's very devastating, but all the same, they say it's tradition. That's what they came to meet. Their ancestors passed on to them. So really, they don't have much to do about. They can't do much about it. I spoke to the community leaders, the chief, who also seemed to be in favor of the tradition. So I'll tell you that story, and then in the second part, which airs tomorrow, we'll continue from there, where you see what these TBAs do in the absence of a health center in Dover, because the women can't give birth, that there's no health center in the community. So these are traditional birth attendants in nearby communities. So the challenge of these pregnant women in Dover, traveling from Dover to these communities and trying to reach to these TBAs who don't have the required delivery equipment to save them and their children, and what the health officials are saying about it.
I'm just wondering what the impact of this is having on maternal mortality. Am I going to get that as well?
Sure, it is. You surely get that. So I spoke to the regional health directorates, the director in charge over there, and he gives us very interesting statistics, and it doesn't look like it's a good picture. It's really bad, and they blame some of these the challenge of some of these practices. Essentially, you can't delink it in one way or the other. They are related.
Thank you very much, Emefa Ewanam Etiamwa Eli. She has worked on the documentary The Land of No Birth, and the first part will be airing on this channel at 6:30 p.m. today. You don't have to miss this. You're still watching News Desk on Joy News. Stay with us. We'll be back very shortly.